Never, never, ever say, no, I can't do this. No, I can do this because I don't know how to do this. The easiest way to get a job in fashion is to turn an internship into a full-time job. And this is because you're already inside the company knows you, and so they are more likely to turn your fashion internship into a full-time job rather than hiring someone who is outside of the company. And this is also the easiest part, because getting an internship is actually easier than getting a full-time job. This is how you're building your reputation within the fashion industry. It's your first approach in this industry, and even though it seems a closed word, in fashion, in the end, it seems like everyone knows each other. So word of mouth is such a powerful tool. It's important that you act absolutely at your best in order to leave an exceptional impression. But in fashion, people change jobs on average every 3 years, and they move from a company to the other. So the people that you met today at a company could be working somewhere else at some point, and maybe it could be the next company you would like to work for then. So let's see together how to succeed at your fashion internship. So the first tip to succeed at your fashion internship is to be proactive. After a month or so that you're inside the company, you are familiar with your task, with your duties. So don't wait for your boss that every morning tells you what you have to do, but be proactive. You know what is your job, you know what are your tasks, so don't wait for someone to always tell you what you have to do. And also, being proactive means that you take initiative, so you maybe want to do something that is out of your responsibilities, you want to add more responsibilities, or you propose to do something new, you propose to change something that can improve the company or the process. Think that you could do better if you do this thing in this way or this thing in this other way. There should never be a moment in your fashion internship where you're not doing nothing. You always have to be doing something. If your boss doesn't have no more jobs for you for that day, ask someone in other teams if you can help them with something. Or you can even, for example, study a report that the company did. My second tip is to observe your boss' job and anticipate their needs. So if you are familiar with what your boss does, try to anticipate some of his or her job, and most of all, try to facilitate their job, because the main task of an intern is to assist and to help and make someone else's job easier. So once you're inside the company, even if the boss doesn't ask you to do something, but you see that there is something that you can do to make your boss' job easier, to facilitate his or her job, then do that thing. You can even ask, if you don't want to do it directly, you can ask, you see, I see that you do this and I would like to help you with this, this and this. Take notes from day one, because during the first week when you are in the office, they're going to explain you the programs that you're going to use, they're going to tell you all your passwords, they're going to tell you the email, the contacts of the people that you have to work with, they're even going to show you around the office to see where things are located. So even if this thing seems obvious at that moment, write everything down. In that week, they're going to give you a lot of information. So it could happen that you might forget about how to use a program, what folder are the files that you need. It's better to take notes when you arrive in the first day in the office and to write down everything, because it's better to take notes in that moment rather than maybe going to your boss after a week to ask again for the password, to ask again how a program works. Build your to-do list. If you're not used to have a to-do list because maybe you have just graduated, so you've never worked before, so you have never had a to-do list, it's time to have one. Write down all your tasks of the day. Even though every single day the tasks are the same, trust me, that it's important to have a to-do list, to be organized, to manage better your time. So if you better manage your time, you're even able to not leave the office at 10 p.m. because if you know exactly what you have to do and you have a to-do list, you can keep focused on your work. So you will be able to go from one task to the other. Work every single minute that you're in the office, so you will be able to complete all your tasks even before 5 p.m. It's important, of course, that you don't leave before your to-do list of the day is completed. Having a to-do list helped me when I was an intern to never leave the office. Almost never leave the office after 6 p.m. because I was really productive, which means that I didn't waste time looking around or scrolling my Instagram, of course. I didn't waste time. I was arriving in the office, having my to-do list of the day, asking my boss if there is something else that I could do in that day, and I was able to end all my tasks by 5:30 p.m. So I even had just a quick lunch to save time. And it's also important to don't procrastinate. So if your boss asks you to do something, do it straight away. When my boss asked me to do something during my internship, I was already starting when we were talking about the final details. My aim was to give the best results in the shortest time. Because in fashion everyone is in a hurry. So you don't want to procrastinate and have a to-do list of things that you never start. So when your boss asks you to do something, do it straight away. Also during my internship, I made sure that I didn't leave before my boss, unless my boss asked me to do so, because I couldn't help her with any more jobs on that day. Talk to as many people as possible. Your fashion internship is a great occasion to start building connections in the fashion industry. It's much more easier to talk to someone when you have to work with them, rather than meeting new people at events and approaching a stranger at an event. So it's easier to talk to people you work with. Talk even to people from other teams. If you don't have time during the day because the only relationship that you have at work is with your boss, then come earlier in the morning to have a coffee with people from other departments. Try to have lunch with them sometimes, and even to hang out after the office hours. Take advantage of your fashion internship to speak to as many people as possible, because as I told you, you never know. Maybe someone who is working now in the company could work in another company in the future. Be enthusiastic. When you are an intern, they might ask you to do tasks such as getting copies or making photocopies, but do every single task with enthusiasm. Be enthusiastic. Do every single task, as it is very important, because trust me, it is. Otherwise, they would not hire an intern if that task was not so important. Having a good attitude, being proactive, being always willing to do even the most uncomfortable or not exciting task will make you stand out along the way. Make sure that your work becomes necessary, and when your internship period is about to end, they are going to ask you to stay because they really need your work, because you do things that nobody else can do or nobody else does in that moment. So make sure that your work is necessary for that company in order for you to have more opportunity when your internship finish. Never, never, ever say, no, I can't do this. No, I can do this because I don't know how to do this. We all have access to Google. So if your boss asks something to you and you don't know how to do it, figure it out. Never say no. You can search on Google, you can ask your colleagues, you can ask someone in the team, your friends that maybe work at another fashion company, but never, never, never say no. If they ask you to prepare a report and you don't know how to use Excel, or you don't know how to use a function of Excel, then go on Google and figure it out. Be humble, because you are there to learn, and learn as much as you can. Be a sponge and try to talk to as many people as possible. Be a good listener. Absorb all the information from anyone. I hope that was a helpful video, and if there is something more you want to learn, comment below or head over to glamobserver.com, the Glam Observer podcast, or check out my online program, Break into the Fashion Industry. Subscribe so anytime we post a new video, you get a notification. Thank you.